Welcome to In Depth with Academia, where we spend some time poking around the fascinating world of academic research, bringing you the stories behind the studies. I'm Richard Price, CEO of academia.edu, and today I'm taking you through a paper that's part detective story, part spiritual journey, and part, well, just plain great storytelling. The paper is Chronicles of Dale Abbey by Roland Keates, sometimes credited as Roly Keates, and as always, my role here is neutral, yeah? I'm not here to tell you this is the final word or some kind of gospel, just sharing what the research offers, inviting you to, reflect and form your own takeaways. So, right, what's the heart of the matter here? Basically, this paper asks, how does a ruined abbey out in the fields of Derbyshire keep haunting the imaginations and the dreams of people, centuries after its stones started crumbling? Why does Dale Abbey, a place that began with a humble baker's vision and grew into this spiritual powerhouse before fading into ruin, continue to hold such a powerful presence in local legend, landscape, and memory? It's a big, juicy question, one that isn't just about old stones or long-lost monks, but about how places weave themselves into memory, myth, and meaning itself. And I think for anyone who's ever visited a ruin and felt some weird kind of hush or wondered about the stories beneath their feet, well, this sort of research invites us to see the world a little more deeply. The significance, well, it goes beyond history for history's sake. Dale Abbey, according to Keats, is like, imagine a palimpsest, right? All these layers, dreams, legends, prayers, ruins, and surviving snippets of architecture, all echoing around each other. The Abbey's story started in the 12th century with, get this, a baker named Cornelius, who has a vision of the Virgin Mary, leaves behind the noise of town, and carves himself a cave in the Dale. This is like, I don't know, almost out of a fantasy novel, and yet it's verifiable enough to underpin centuries of real, lived history. Now, Keats brings together a bunch of sources, medieval chronicles, antiquarian accounts, and even creates his own hand-drawn, medieval-style illustrations. The work is part paper, part film, part, what should I call it, a modern illuminated manuscript. But, okay, the real centerpiece is this. Dale Abbey isn't just the story of some charismatic individuals. It's about the ongoing tension between solitude and community, past and present, myth and stone. Cornelius's vision draws a noblewoman, Maud de Salico Samara, into the story. She gifts land, money, protection, and eventually this tiny cave in the cliff mushrooms into a whole abbey, bustling with white-robed canons. As you follow the abbey's centuries, its growth, its pilgrimage traffic, the rise of its buildings, there's this recurring notion that places like this are made sacred both by big gestures and everyday acts. There's a story about the Hermit's Well, a spring that was both literal lifesaver and spiritual symbol. Pilgrims would visit to drink the water, hoping for a blessing. There's also a bit about the tiny parish church, All Saints, so small it shares a roof with what used to be a pub. Apparently, at one point, priests were literally robbing up in the bar before heading into the sanctuary, which, honestly, I just find kind of charming. You don't get that in the Gothic cathedrals of France, do you? But, of course, things fall apart. The Black Death, financial decline, Henry VIII's dissolution. One by one, the abbey's buildings crumble, its canons disappear, and yet, somehow, the cave, Hermit's Well, and the arch of the old east window survive. Keats argues, and I'm neutral here, that these fragments still speak. Maybe they even invite us to imagine ourselves into the continuum of myth. It's not absence, it's presence. You walk into Dale Abbey and you're, layered into history, myth, and maybe even a little spirituality, whether or not you believe in miracles or haunted wells. Now, just to remind you, this is the author's vision and his research. There's a fair bit of imagination braided into the analysis. Academic truth isn't an absolute, it's more like a big potluck, right? Each researcher brings a dish, and we, as the guests, taste carefully, keep an open mind, and sometimes go back for seconds, or leave the weird potato salad untouched. Sorry, it's lunchtime and I'm hungry, so food analogies are happening. So, for you listening right now, what does this all mean? Besides maybe inspiring a rural walk or a Netflix binge on medieval documentaries, Keats's work nudges us to see the places around us as living stories. Even the tiniest fragment, a spring, a cave, a church sharing its roof with a pub, can carry centuries of dreams and devotion. If you've ever wondered what happened here, or felt attracted to an old ruin without knowing exactly why, you're right in the slipstream of what this paper explores. And that's our time today on In Depth with Academia. I hope you're leaving with a few questions of your own, a sense that observing our landscapes, listening to their stories, is still a pretty radical act. Remember, I'm just the messenger, presenting Keats's paper as it is, neutrally. So whether you agree, disagree, or just want to know more, the journey is really yours. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep your curiosity alive and remember, every ruin holds more than meets the eye.